And this is the biggest stress and shock to Ontario's healthcare system, I think, in its modern history.
A province-wide stay-at-home order is now in effect, with people only allowed to leave their homes for essential purposes. But are residents complying? Plus,
it's possible this does cause more cases and deaths overall.
Ontario's vaccine rollout faces another hurdle with a delay in the Pfizer supply. How will Ontario cope? And
I'm having my own emergency right now. I gotta go.
a plea for a place to pee. Ontario's truck drivers ask for help finding pit stops where they won't be turned away.
This is CBC Saturday News.
Good evening. I'm Marivelle Tarouk. The province reported just over 3,000 cases of COVID-19 today, with a record number of people in Ontario's intensive care units. There are 3,056 cases across the province, with an additional 51 deaths reported today. Just over 900 of today's new cases are in Toronto, 629 are in Peel Region, 283 in York, and 162 in Durham. New data from Critical Care Services Ontario shows 420 patients are in the province's ICUs. The provincial data is slightly behind, but shows more than 1,600 people are hospitalized with COVID-19, and just under 300 require a ventilator. As the numbers continue to rise, some hospitals in the province are so overwhelmed, they're transferring patients wherever there's space. Lorenda Redekop has more on the added hurdles our healthcare workers are facing.
Doctors from this hospital in Toronto's East End say patients may arrive here but be transferred out for care.
We have been transferring for over a month patients locally, even by land, by ambulance. But yesterday, I believe, was the first time we had to transfer someone by helicopter.
In Windsor, its hospitals are juggling patient transfers within the city and farther away in the health region.
If this continues, we will run out of beds at some point. This can't keep going, forever.
The head of the Ontario Hospital Association says patient transfers happen at other times, but not this frequently. He says COVID ICU numbers jumped by 35, and the overall number of ICU patients is above 1,800.
This is the biggest stress and shock to Ontario's healthcare system, I think, in its modern history.
And he says people should pay attention to modeling figures, suggesting hospitals could become more stretched if people don't stop the spread.
It's like an air raid siren going off, if you will. It's warning us that we're at a very risky and dangerous place today. And if these trends keep up, we are into totally astonishing territory.
Non-traditional spaces like this conference center are being turned into temporary healthcare units. There are 30 beds here so far, with plans to expand to 90 for long-term care overflow during outbreaks.
One of the things that we want to do is help alleviate the burden on the overall healthcare system. If that's going to allow a little bit of breathing room within the system, I think this is hugely important.
That's as doctors are also trying to help people understand who they're seeing in the ICU.
The youngest person with COVID that I resuscitated was 28 years old. I've resuscitated patients 45. That was in wave 1. He was my first patient that passed away from COVID. Even our older patients, we need to respect them, and it's not okay for them to get COVID either.
I've seen it kill patients in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. It's not just the elderly.
They hope everyone pays attention to the province's stay-at-home order. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Ontario's vaccine rollout is facing another hurdle. Friday, the federal government announced that Pfizer will deliver fewer vaccines to Canada in the near future as it reworks some of its production lines. So far, the province has administered more than 189,000 doses to Ontarians. Here's Talia Ricci with reaction from the health community.
After backlash on the speed of the vaccine rollout, a new challenge, a delay in the Pfizer supply.
It's possible this does cause more cases and deaths overall, but again, it shouldn't change the behavior of the general public.
In Ontario, health officials say the first phase of the vaccination plan will continue. Long-term care and high-risk retirement home residents, staff, and essential caregivers who have received their first Pfizer dose will receive their second in 21 to 27 days. The City of Toronto says COVID-19 immunization clinics have been held at all 87 long-term care homes in the city.
I really think it's important for the long-term care and retirement home residents to try and stick to the schedule as much as possible, and it is reassuring that Ontario is doing that.
Other recipients, like healthcare workers, will see their second dose pushed back to between 21 and 42 days after the first dose.
Well, of course, there is concern. I mean, there is the half full and the half empty of the cup. The half full is at least we got one dose, right? And the other half is, well, we now need to wait longer.
The Registered Nurses Association of Ontario has been calling for the government to get vaccinations in the hands of more community providers to accelerate the process.
They are the experts on this field. They do it every year for the flu.
This infectious diseases expert says as long as the province sticks to this plan, the vaccine will still be effective.
Pfizer has told the World Health Organization that's around day 42 where they think it's getting too dangerous to administer the vaccine outside of that window. So, realistically, I think as long as we're getting people within that window, that's fine.
The province says it's working to expand the number of vaccination sites to prepare for the demand during phase 2. Dr. Nathan Stull says while this hurdle is disappointing, he's hopeful the extra time will be used wisely.
Hopefully we'll use this time to be effective about making sure we're ready to go as soon as there's product that has landed on our soil.
Meanwhile, those who received the Moderna vaccine will see no change. The second dose of that vaccine is delivered 28 days after the first. Talia Ricci, CBC News, Toronto.
It is the first weekend under Ontario's stay-at-home order, but the new restrictions didn't seem to slow traffic at big box stores around the GTA. This was the scene at the Walmart at Dufferin Mall today, with a steady flow of people heading in and out. Some are continuing to call the restrictions unfair, giving larger chains an advantage over small businesses, which are limited to curbside pickup or delivery.
Our big boxes obviously sell quite a collection of product. In my ideal world, I would like them to be limited to selling only essential items and not the non-essential items that other businesses offer as well.
Starting today, inspectors, bylaw and police officers will be visiting big box stores around the GTA, ensuring workers and staff are following pandemic protocols. In a statement, Walmart told CBC Toronto they put the safety of its associates and customers first and are complying with the restrictions, adding they're counting customer numbers, regularly cleaning and checking staff temperatures before shifts. Police dispersed a large anti-lockdown protest outside Mayor John Tory's home this afternoon. Anti-lockdown protests have happened almost weekly since the pandemic began. Police don't typically intervene, but they sent out tweets today warning they would break up any large gatherings. Under the current orders, people cannot gather in groups of more than 5. Officers confirmed they dispersed crowds at 2 large gatherings today at Nathan Phillips Square and Yonge Dundas Square. They arrested and charged the 2 organizers with 1 count each of common nuisance. With the stay-at-home order in place, you can expect a couple of other changes around the province this weekend. All non-essential retail stores, including alcohol retailers, hardware stores, and those offering curbside pickup or delivery, can open no earlier than 7 a.m. and close no later than 8 p.m. The restricted hours don't apply to stores that primarily sell food, pharmacies, gas stations, convenience stores, and restaurants for takeout or delivery. The availability of outdoor activities depends on your region. Vaughan has closed all outdoor skating rinks, toboggan hills, and dog parks. But in Toronto, those activities are all open for now with restrictions. The province is reminding residents to only make essential trips. You are looking live at Windsor tonight. The region was the first in the province to roll out vaccines to all of its long-term care homes Monday. Toronto made the same announcement just yesterday. 246 homes across the province remain in outbreak. That's about 40% of homes in Ontario. We're going to check in with Christina now. A pretty beautiful day out there, Christina, which is pretty great for mid-January, I guess.
Wasn't that sunshine so beautiful? It makes all the difference, right?
It sure does, and rare these days, it seems.
Absolutely. So a couple of things, Maryville. Not a lot of sunshine coming up for this week, and we're going to see some cold Arctic air. But for now, let's get started on what we can expect for our Saturday evening. Nation's capital right at the freezing mark. Continuous flurries, and then a look overnight. You're going to see those flurries continue for the nation's capital, and you're going to see them in London, Ontario, in Kingston and Hamilton. It's all due to that winter storm, that's really been affecting eastern Ontario and Quebec. So are we going to see any of this in southern Ontario? Well, we're going to see a little bit of those lingering flurries for our Sunday, really penetrating southwestern Ontario. And they're also going to be lingering for our Monday. So road-wise, your danger zones for Ontario, really Highway 7 from Ottawa, Perth into Maddox. So you want to stay away from those roads. And then Sunday morning, 1 degree, that mix of sun and cloud, not a lot of cloud for the new week ahead. And then through your Monday morning, through your Sunday morning, rather, as I mentioned, we are going to be dealing with a few more centimeters of that snowfall. But Toronto, it looks like it's going to be remaining clear. So your Sunday afternoon, Toronto 3 degrees, a mix of sun and cloud, but you're seeing continuous snowfall for southwestern Ontario and then pushing east. And when I get back for that long range forecast, well, I've got some more details coming up.
Okay, so we'll see you in a few minutes. Thanks, Christina.
Great. Thanks.
Washroom accessibility has been an ongoing struggle for many truck drivers during the pandemic, with some spending up to 16 hours a day on the road. Drivers say the most recent lockdown has made things worse. Many are raising health concerns and pleading for help. Dahlia Ashry has the latest details.
For the last 6 years, this is where Ontario trucker Bridget Belton spends most of her days.
We have the bed. I have the top bunk turned up. There's no bathroom in here, I promised you.
To be safe, Belton pulled over to chat with me. She spends up to 16 hours on the road with no washroom in the truck. And with a current emergency lockdown,
I'm having my own emergency right now. I gotta go.
Belton and other truckers like Peter Durant say most washrooms have been inaccessible across Ontario.
You know, in Ontario, Northern Ontario is extremely bad because there's no truck stops to stop in. So the Walmarts and those places don't want you in their yards.
So what do you do when you have nowhere to go?
Pee in a bottle or find a bush or whatever you have to do, right?
Belton recalls a run-in with police after being denied access to washrooms at a fast food joint.
I went to around the back of the building so nobody could see me. I was prepared to do what I got to do there if that's the way it's got to go. When I was threatened, they were calling police. I was trespassing.
The Women's Truck Federation of Canada says it's dehumanizing.
Drivers are human beings. We're not dogs.
Being denied access to washroom facilities has been an ongoing issue since the first wave of the pandemic.
I'm 50 years old, so let's be honest, I'm not going to hold it like a teenager anyway. I could end up with urinary tract infections, absolutely.
Yuvan Hall-Hush agrees.
It causes kidney disease, it causes kidney stones. There are very long-term health effects.
Her federation is pushing for businesses to open their washrooms and for carriers to stand up for their drivers. Ontario's Minister of Transportation is also demanding change. In a statement, the ministry says she's calling on businesses to step up and support our truck drivers, adding our government will continue to work with the industry, and we thank them for their essential work.
We're driving your medicine. We're driving your food. We're driving everything for you. Have some compassion for us. Open stuff up just for us.
Dahlia Ashry, CBC News, Toronto.
3 OPP officers and another person have been charged, while 4 other officers have been suspended with pay. It's all in connection with an ongoing investigation into the GTA towing industry. The OPP said its professional standards unit received an internal complaint alleging members of the OPP Highway Safety Division were providing preferential treatment to tow operators. 3 veteran OPP officers face charges, including breach of trust. All 3 members will be suspended with pay. Well, as the nights get colder and stay-at-home orders force most indoors, help is difficult to find for those living on the streets. Enter Project Winter Survival.
So many shelters that have had to go to half capacity or even close down, and people who are homeless are terrified to go in them. And then imagine coupling on now, we're in a lockdown. We really need to put this project out of business. We need long-term housing and supportive solutions to help these people.
With the contributions of several community partners, Project Winter Survival distributed 3,000 winter survival kits. They went to nearly 200 social service agencies, shelters, and outreach organizations. Kits included sleeping bags, clothing, and personal care items for those experiencing homelessness. Massive security preparations in Washington and other major U.S. cities with 4 days to go until Joe Biden is inaugurated. More on plans to keep Inauguration Day safe coming up. After months of having no representation on City Council, residents of Scarborough Agincourt finally have a new City Councillor. Nick Mantis eked out a narrow by-election win last night to replace former Ward 2 councillor Jim Karagianis. He was removed from council in September 2020 for a campaign spending violation in the 2018 municipal election. Residents went to the polls yesterday. According to the city's unofficial results, Mantis won by a margin of just 223 votes over his nearest rival, Mana Wong. Mantis served as Karagianis' former chief of staff and was considered one of the more high-profile candidates among the 27 running in the by-election. Just a few days before Joe Biden is inaugurated as the 46th president of the United States, in anticipation, Washington and other major U.S. cities are building a massive security presence. It's all based on worries that right-wing extremists will cause more violence. Stephen D'Souza has the details.
Next week's peaceful transition of power is being secured by the largest ever show of force in the United States Capitol as the country braces for more violence.
We cannot let the thugs and the insurrectionists and an angry mob bring us down. That's why you're seeing more security with significant National Guard.
In a sign of just how real that threat is, reports today that a man was arrested Friday trying to breach this perimeter with false ID, a handgun, and 500 rounds of ammunition. That arrest comes 10 days after a mob of extremist supporters of Donald Trump rampaged through the halls of Congress.
We're fighting for Trump.
Today, another prominent arrest. Tim Giannett, better known as a far-right personality baked Alaska.
Hello, U.S. Senate. Yes, we have a fraudulent election.
He live-streamed the mayhem. Now he's charged with unlawfully being inside the building and threatening and abusive conduct to disrupt Congress.
Oh, thank you.
With law enforcement warning of more potential attacks across the country, many state capitals are closing up. Security also beefed up around government buildings in Michigan, where last year the Capitol was swarmed by protesters, among them people allegedly plotting to kidnap the governor.
Our fears are that some small set of protesters will try and storm the Capitol. There's fencing going up. We're afraid they could try and storm City Hall. Many businesses are boarding up.
I'm a conservative.
There were warnings of armed protests this weekend, but the scene in many areas was one of relative calm. Experts warn, however, that many extremists were emboldened by what they saw January 6th, viewing it as a fantasy of overthrowing the government coming true.
I'm very concerned we're going to see more, even post-inauguration period, which is obviously a very heightened threat period. I think we're going to see more violence in the coming months as well.
A warning on this, the final weekend of Donald Trump's presidency. The country is on edge, worried about what comes next. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
A live look at the light snow in Ottawa tonight, where the Leafs will play their second of 2 games this weekend against the Senators. Some pregame thoughts from Leafs coach after the break. It's been a while, but it's a big night for Toronto sports fans. Both the Raptors and the Maple Leafs play tonight. The Leafs are looking to come back from a 5-3 loss against the Ottawa Senators last night.
We want to be able to win those games. We need to find ways to be a good team in those environments. So that's been the focus for us from day one of training camp, and we failed to bring that to the ice yesterday.
Slides it across. Colburn drops it back.
The Leafs lost against the Ottawa Senators last night 3-5. Both the Raptors and Leafs are hoping to bring home a win tonight, though. The Leafs face the Senators tonight at 7 p.m. right here on CBC. The Raptors take on the Charlotte Hornets at 7:30 after narrowly beating them on Thursday. Ontario's stay-at-home order is in effect this weekend, but the streets looked pretty crowded. Outdoor exercise and walks are not prohibited under the order, and residents certainly took advantage of that today. The mild temperatures and a nice reprieve from our typical winter weather. So here's Christina with a look at the long range. I think people just wanting to take advantage of these mild temperatures while they're here.
Absolutely. So up to midweek, you can do that. Get out there.
Right on. I will be.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's take a quick look at our satellite and radar. We are still dealing with this lingering moisture thanks to that winter storm really affecting eastern Ontario into Quebec. So we are going to see some lingering snowfall for our Sunday into our Monday for southern Ontario, but once again, not affecting Toronto. For southern Ontario, we could be dealing with that wet snow mix and some snow squalls for your Sunday into your Monday, but once again, clear for Toronto for your Monday, just a little bit below the freezing mark. That mix of sun and cloud southwestern Ontario. This is where you're going to be seeing really that wintry mix, but that's all going to taper off for your Monday afternoon. All right, so get out there and enjoy those beautiful conditions, because come Wednesday, here comes that first shot of cold Arctic air. Then we're going to see that return for your Thursday as well as your Friday. Also enjoy that sunshine while it lasts, because this week coming up, we're not going to be experiencing a lot of that sunshine. Come Wednesday, we'll see the most amount of sunshine. So let's take a look at our next 7 days, your Sunday and your Monday for Toronto. Here's that mix of sun and cloud. Sunday, a high of 3 degrees. Monday, just below the freezing mark. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the return of the flurries, and then you're going to see that shot of cold Arctic air come midweek. So it is going to start to feel colder. Into the nation's capital we go. Your Sunday, once again, continuing flurries, but it's going to be clear for your Monday, that mix of sun and cloud. And then Tuesday, -9 degrees, feeling like -11. You're seeing it get chillier come midweek. So this is really going to be the premise of the week ahead. Cooler temperatures come midweek. And of course, I have more details for you tomorrow.
And we will see you tomorrow night then. Thanks, Christina.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you for watching. We are going to leave you tonight with some beautiful shots of the nation's capital, all blanketed in snow. Stay safe as always and have a great night. Thank you.